Noho, I'm not going to say the last name. Calling out to you, Noho.
I am a totara standing tall in the forest of Tani, a seedling wrapped in the warm embrace of Papatuanuku, a blanket of stars on a canvas of eternal light. I am the wisdom of the wind, I am the warmth of the sunshine. I am man, and I am a leader. Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, judges, and most honoured guests. I am man. I stand before you tall, and in a time of despair, controversy, adversity, and heartache, I rise up like the phoenix, and I become the leader you need. Māoridom refers to leaders as he ariki nui, he manukura, he rangatira, translating to paramount, important, leader, leadership, and or chief. Sir Apirana Nata, he pui a hirangi, he moana nui a kiwa narimu, and my own grandmother, Malani McGregor, were leaders. Names to some of you that may be foreign. But they were everything to the Māori world and to my own. Let's begin in the past. After the signing of Te Tiriti o Te Waitangi, Hone Heke stood tall and he fell down that flagstaff. And when it crashed upon that ground, he was the beacon of hope for his people during that time. Whether we agree with his action or not, we cannot dispute that he was the leader his people needed, the beacon of hope that was called upon. And although Kororareka lay in ashes, his legacy lives on. He showed courage, bravery, and again, in a time of adversity, he was the leader the people needed. He was not asked, he was not called upon. He stood, and he stood. A leader must stand tall, like a rock in the sea. They are unabashed by waves, by tides, yet they stand, and they stand, and they stand. Honeheke was a prime example of that. Now we move forward in time. An eerie silence befalls the land. Tears return to the soil. Light draining from their bodies. Young boys we sent across foreign seas to defend an idea of justice, to defend an idea of peace. They were our ancestors. My great-grandfather served in World War II. Young boys who became men in a matter of seconds. When the world was in peril, they stood tall. They stood, they stood, they stood. They gave their lives in a line of fire. Left behind the days of which they were boys, and they became men. They were not called upon. They were not asked. They simply stood. Again, they took the essence of what Hone Heke had accomplished and applied it to the battlefield. They drew inspiration from their tipuna or from their ancestors. And like the warriors that they had known, they stood and they stood and they stood. And now we move forward again into the future, or even so the present. My grandmother was Malaini Horua, now McGregor. She descended from the east coast, Rangitokia, Ngāti Porou, and she lived with my grandfather in the land of Ngāti Kahungunu. My grandmother was the voice behind my grandfather's whaikorero, or speech, on the marae. She was the intelligence behind her iwi and the new iwi she came to call home. She was the kuia that all the rangatahi went to. My nanny was a leader, an inspiration, a beacon of hope. She stood and she stood and she stood. In a time of despair, controversy, adversity or heartache, real leaders emerge. And we as a society learn very quickly the characteristics we need in order to guide and to lead. Beacons of hope, shining stars, guiding lights. A true leader stands in the sea, and they stand and they stand and they stand. For they are the people's voice. They have an individual's will. They are not called upon, they are not asked. They stand and they stand and they stand. Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, judges, most honoured guests. A real leader stands. Kia ora.